Jim's Garage Toys. Today we are going to be doing the front brakes on my daughter's 2009 Corolla S that she bought. So we're going to be upgrading them to some EBC rotors and pads. So we've got some slotted rotors we're going to be installing, and we've got some red stuff pads that we'll be putting in. I actually put these on my Corolla and I found them to be a nice upgrade from the stock brakes with a lot better stopping power and very low dust. So if that's something that you're considering, this could be a good option. I'll be doing these for anybody who's not been doing brakes or has not done them before. I'll try to keep it simple so you can see how easy it is. This is not something you have to pay somebody to do. Do it yourself, save a lot of money, and put the money you save into better parts and enjoy your car that much more. So we'll go ahead and get the car jacked up, get the wheels off, and we'll get going. Okay, we have the wheels and tires off now. Jack stands under on both sides, and as an added safety piece, I always leave the hydraulic jack with just a little bit of pressure on it, so it's an extra point of pressure. So now what we have to do is to get the rotor and the caliper off. There's a couple of bolts that hold the caliper on. There's one right here and there's one down below. So we'll take those off. Caliper can come free, and then we can get the rotor off. So that's the process we're going to do, and I will show that as we go, but I just wanted to give you an overview before we start it. Before we're able to get this whole area and get the rotor off too, on this car, since we're using wheels from a Scion FRS or Toyota 86, the offset of these is, I can't remember, 48 or 50 millimeters. So if you fit them on a Corolla like this, you have to use a spacer. So we'll go ahead and we've loosened these nuts here. So we'll pop this off first, and that will allow us to get the rotor off too. So one additional step on this car, if you have wheels that go straight on and you don't need a spacer, or you're using a spacer just to get more offset and fill the wheel well better, then that's just something you'll have to do, but just a few minutes. So just a couple of pointers here too before we start to take the caliper off. So these two bolts on this car, this one right here and this one right here, this will allow the caliper to come off, and you can replace the pads from there. So if you're only replacing pads, you don't have to take anything else off. Literally those two bolts pull this off. One thing you always want to do though, and we'll do this on these two, is that to take the pins off, and I always clean off the old grease and I put new grease on, and I'll show you the proper grease to use on these. So to take the rotor off though, you have to go ahead and take off this bolt right here, and there's another one on the back side, right down here. Hopefully that's pointing to it there. And those two will come off, and that takes the whole piece, these two pieces off. You have to take this off to get the rotor off. So, but you do not have to take this off if you're only replacing pads. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we'll break these two loose. So there's that one. And here's the other one down here. These are generally not too difficult to get loose. So now these will come out. So you see it moving a little bit here. Just kind of wiggle it. Kind of feels like the brakes are on. Go ahead and stop for a second. So, a little screwdriver just to help pry those out. Oh, I see what's in the outer pads coming with it. There we go. There we go. Okay. So caliper is free. So those just, every car's a little different, but these just slide out like that. There's the outer. And there's the inner. So brake pads are off. So if you're only doing the pads, then literally you pop those out and you can pop the new ones in. You always want to inspect all these clips also that hold those in. That helps prevent it from squeaking and keeps tension on it so they're not flopping around in there. So, and we're good for that. So as a tip, once you get the caliper off, like you see here, do not hang it with tension on the brake hose line. So either I've used bungee cords in the past to strap it to the coil. Sometimes I'll use a box or something that's tall enough, as you can see I've done here. So, but just anything that is not going to put pressure on it. One thing too, as brakes wear, the piston for the caliper comes out, and you can see it protruding here. So I will show you, we have to push that in because the new pads are thicker. So it will not fit on until we push this back in, and we will do that here in a little bit, and I'll show you how that's done. It's very easy. There are very inexpensive brake tool kits that can do it, or you can use a really large C-clamp also. Most front brakes simply push in like that. Rear brakes are different on a lot of cars. You want to have your brake fluid visible, because when you push that piston in, brake fluid is going to come up, so you don't want it to overflow. So make sure that you're watching that level as you push that in too. So we've got the caliper off. The next step is to take this bolt and this bolt right here that hold this caliper housing. There's one loose. This lower one's always kind of blind, so just go by feel and get it on there. There we go. Loose, but not loose enough for a finger. There we go. This is also a good chance when you got this off, you can kind of take a wire brush to things and clean up any rust and stuff that might be on them. Okay, so these two bolts are off. Voila. So, okay. So here we have the bracket, the caliper bracket. So I just want to point out, so these are the pins that slide as you push the brake pedal, and you can see how those move. So this is what I like to re-grease every time, just to make sure that they're in good shape. And if you take if you kind of pull this on, there's just a little lip that it holds on to, and just kind of work around it. And there, so now you can see, here's the lip that keeps this boot on. And you just pull out, and there'll be a little bit of pressure, and then poof. So, and there's the pin. So I like to wash this, wipe it off, clean it off, get the old grease off of it, put fresh grease on, and then it just pushes right back in. Whoop, just like that. So same on both sides. So, little tip. So, okay, so what I tend to do is I'll set my new pads out. I've got my old pads here. You can, I keep them so I know which one's which, but on this car and most cars, they are the same inner and outer. So here's my inner. You can tell because I've got the circle from the caliper piston pushing out on it. So, And if you lay this out, each car being a little different, but then you can kind of see how the squeal pad shims work, if there's anything else that needs to be moved from one thing to another. So this right here, this is actually a little clip, and we can move this over. This is designed so where this little piece right here sticks out before you get to the metal. So if you start to hear some squealing, that's this little piece of metal rubbing up against your rotor going, hey, I need new pads. So before you get into the metal, because if you run all the way through all of the material, you're in trouble, and then you have to replace the rotors. So that's what that little piece is for. So we will move this onto the new pad, so we have that benefit. And then we put these snap on here. I always use a little bit of grease. This is the same grease I use for the pins and the caliper that we'll go ahead and re-grease with. So, and it doesn't take much. Make sure you do not get your greasy hands or any grease on the surface of the pad. Top tip there, because you will be not happy with your braking performance. So keep those clean and do not touch those at any time. So, all right. So we'll put this back together. We'll put a little bit of grease on here. And again, it doesn't take much. This is the same stuff that I can tell that the dealer used on the previous time, as it was white like this. So this is a recommended one from the dealer for Toyotas. So we do this one first. And sometimes I'll just give a little pinch in on the clips just to make sure. There we go, hear it snap there. And we'll do a little bit here, a little on this piece too. This just helps everything move and not squeal. Quiet brakes are happy brakes. So get that little bend in. Those two. Clip and clip. All right. So and then we'll do the same thing on this one. So I got two pieces. And you can see there's the squeal. There's one on the inside and outside, because sometimes things will wear differently. See, and there's, you can see the grease from the previous time, a little bit there. So just a little, kind of like that old Bro Cream commercial from decades ago. A little dab will do you. So, there we go. One on. One more. Let's wipe this. Clean off some of that old grunge first. There we go. All right. Now they are ready to reinstall. So we've got these on. This is another reason why I keep these oriented the way that they go on the car, because if you have to move any clips, like these two wear clips, then you know where to put them on the new brakes. So we'll go ahead and pop that off. It's just pretty easy. You can actually see this little indent there, where this little piece snaps right onto it. So it's important to remember that this isn't rocket science. It's just a clip. So then these come off, just a little twist like that. You can see how easy that pops off. So So I go from the bottom, I get this part underneath it, and then get that little, okay, so this one's a little loose, so what I'll do is I'll take it and we'll crimp it down a little bit. Right where it grabs the pad there. There we go. So, there we go. Much better. So you can see how secure that is now. And that one's secure. So the brake pads are completely ready to go back on, other than I'll put a little bit of grease where the contact points are here. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the rotor. Sometimes at this point you can literally shimmy the rotor and it will come off. But if it doesn't want to come off, that's what these little holes are for. So there's 2 of them. I got 1 bolt in there already. So, and these are designed to make life very easy for you. Put that in there and then just tighten them down. And what it does is it pushes on the hub and it will pop. And you will know when it does because it goes crack and pop or whatever it does. It's getting ready to do it at any point here. Oh, there it comes. Here it's starting. Oh, there it goes. That's what I said. You'll know it does it. As it's breaking. What happens is moisture gets in there and it kind of wants to rust to it. There it goes. And you'll know because it'll shift just like that. And off it comes. There's our old rotor. So this is why I always keep old bolts around. So those, I believe, are, I think it's a 12, what is this? Yeah, it's a 12 millimeter head on it. So, and it's off. We are going to go ahead and push the caliper back in, or the piston back into the caliper now. So, and there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do this with a large C-clamp. This can work for many years. I tried this. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain as it moves around, but it can get the job done on most front brakes. Another option is to have a little disc brake kit. I got this from Amazon. I'll go ahead and link it in my description. These are not very expensive. You can get them for around $20, $30, and it will allow you to do disc brakes for just about any car, front and back. So with most front ones, this literally can just be pushed in, and this little tool will do that. So this piece kind of clamps around like that, and then this piece goes in here and we twist on it. So since I have an assistant today, I can actually show how this is done. And other times I haven't been so lucky. So I get that on there, I get that snugged in. So, and it's just using the design of the caliper to get leverage. So now, you gotta just twist. And of course you gotta twist the right way. So, yeah, this will slowly see that, it doesn't want to go. Yeah. All right. Caliper tried to push the piston back. This piston was frozen in place and did not want to move back. It should move back relatively easily, but this can happen. This car, when my daughter bought it, has not been used a lot in the past 5 years or so. So this doesn't come as a complete surprise, but you're able to see the process if your calipers are okay. In this case, we had to run down to the store and we grabbed 2 new calipers. So for that, we will undo this bolt right here, connect the new one, and the piston will already be pushed back. So, and then we'll install those. The only thing that we have to do differently because of this is that we're breaking the line, so we'll go ahead and have to bleed the brakes. So we will do that at the end of this process. The new caliper is on. One bolt is all. It threads through the brake line. There's 2 new washers that come with it. So here is the old one. You can see how the piston is sticking out. This is what normally pushes in pretty easily. This didn't budge even with pretty good force. So, and this is what it should go into. So now we have the full space between here for the thicker pads that are new. So, and we have a nice new bracket, caliper bracket, so that's nice. The old ones were all rusted up too, so it's a win-win. Now we can continue and we will put the new rotor on. So we have our hub, we have our new rotor. You'll notice even on the new rotor that there are those threaded holes to pop it off if you have to, but you just simply slide it on. That's basically it. So now we can put this piece back on, and this will actually help hold the rotor in place because this will go like this with our 2 bolts from before. So, and then this is where the 2 smaller bolts, these right here, go into and through the caliper here and hold the caliper onto the caliper bracket. And then this is the larger bolts that hold this on to the hub. So, and then here's the slide pins. Being that this is new and remanufactured, these have all been lubed and stuff, so all new rubber, so you don't have to worry about that. The one thing that we do have to put on though is all of the new clips. So this came with new clips, so we have to do that also. New hardware, little clips. On the old ones you can see the clips right here. So we'll just kind of mirror those and put these in the same orientation so that you get them in there properly. So this just goes like this. It's just a matter of kind of compressing them and sliding them in. There we go. There's one. So grab another one. So this one goes like that. That. Yeah. And this one goes let's see here we go, like that. Perfect. See how easy that is. Sweet. See how pretty those are? So we've already changed the caliper. So we will go ahead and put the new pads on. One thing you want to do when you put the pads on is I always put just a little bit of grease where it makes contact, so you can see where the piston comes out. So I put just a little bit there. So if there's any movement in this, it doesn't squeal, and I don't want it squealing like a pig. Okay. So, and then I put just a little dab where it's going to make contact with the metal pin. So, just a little bit in there. Oops. Oh, I need to pinch that a little bit harder. This stuff. Okay. So, this feels a little, oh, I thought it did. Yeah, it does. Feels a little loose, so let's pinch these pins in a little bit more. Still not quite. There we go. That feels better. A little more of a snap. So the back one here works the same as the front one. It's going to be a lot easier for you to see it, but this is the same process. So orient the pad to how it fits in with the curve of the rotor. So I tend to stick the bottom in first. Get my head in there, so get a little angle so I can see it. On each end here. Actually, wait to put the grease on the outer part since I can get to it easily on this one. So, see if this one behaves. Beautiful. Now, I'll just put a little bit of grease where we got each contact point. Sweet. Perfect. So pads are in. The calipers that we bought actually came with new clips, which is great. But the problem I found trying to put the pads in them is, for whatever reason, and I can't tell by looking at them, that it just was having a hard time with me getting the pads in. So the OEM clips were in really good condition. I popped those on, and as you saw, the pads popped right in. It should not be difficult to get the pads in. They just snap right in. And so on the other side, I will do the same thing. I won't even mess with these aftermarket clips. So we'll use the OEM ones. All right, we got the calipers, pads are on. So now the next thing is, if you don't have to replace this, then we'll have pushed this in. And now this gives this enough distance to slide on. So, and you just don't want to catch the anti-squeal pad there. Just slide it on nice and easy. So, get this out of the way. And it goes right on like that. Now there's the 2 screws that you got. So just kind of, you usually have to lift this a little bit, just like that, until you find the threads. I'll do this one for down here. Bada bing, bada boom, and it's in. So tighten these up, snug them down. I need to grab my ratcheting wrench. It's all all new hardware. All the screws are not rusted. So one thing when you're doing this too, notice that there's for the end of the bolt that is your slide pin. So you'll see when I turn this that turns too. So keep an eye on that when you're tightening it up. And if it does turn, it doesn't mean it will, but if it does, then make sure that you get the appropriate. This is 17 millimeter on this side, a 14 on this side, and just get it on there so that when you snug that down, it's not turning it, and then you'll be in business. So we'll snug that. There we go. Nice and tight. You don't gotta be the Hulk on them. So you can torque them properly. I've found that if I just do a nice snug tightening, it's on there. So, and that is it. We've got a brand new caliper on there. We've got our brake line hooked up. We do need to bleed them. So, and what I want to do is let's just make sure that this is tight. Oh, get the right size. That was an 11. That's weird. So. All right, so our brake line is snug, bolts are snug here, we're tight back there, we're ready. So this is done other than bleeding and then putting the wheel back on.